Hello and welcome to Shift Happens, Cornelia Thomsen, two Germans in New York. And so we have met many, many years ago and somehow accompanied each other on our path through New York City and witnessed each other.
Mhm.
So I remember the very beginnings when you started painting the series of stripes, which is really your signature or has been for a long time your signature work. So I'm glad you have this as your backdrop.
Yeah, I think we met about 19 years ago when we moved to New York, and you had children in the same school. And then
It's
since then, we come together and we meet and develop and move forward and share our experiences.
I can't
Yeah, yeah,
believe it's been 19
mhm.
years.
Yeah.
So, Cornelia, before we start talking about your shift, which is uh, a special shift because it not only affects you or had an influence on you, but it actually also influenced the world. But we get to that later. First, I want to know from you, what is your current state of mind?
My current state of mind is that we are going to uncertain times all over the world, and I hope we get through it without much harm. And I try to do my best to keep my environment in good, positive shape. And there's not much we can do, but this is
Yeah,
my contribution.
yeah, good, important contribution. What is something that made you smile this week?
Yeah, I came back from Europe last week and flew into New York, and it made me very happy to see the city and to see the possibilities, opportunities that always come with it. And that made me really happy.
Mhm. Can you share your secret superpower?
Yeah, through all the years, I think resilience is my superpower and not giving up in spite of all the things that build up in front of me and actually of everybody. But working through it and not giving up is, I think, what I would call a power I have. Yeah.
Discipline.
Discipline and just getting myself back together and continue.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
So now we're moving into your story, and you were born in East Germany, and you started working there, and you started working there in an artistic way, but not
Mhm.
as an artist, I
Mhm.
would say. And so, can you describe this most defining moment for your life, which is the fall of the wall in 1989? And where were you actually on that evening?
Also the fall of the wall is certainly the most defining event of my life, and it divides it in a life before and after, and both are intertwined, and I'm still working on it. And I was in the at the night of the 9th of November in '89 in Meissen, but did not have a TV and also did not listen to the radio. And Dresden and Meissen are the only two cities where you could not receive this German media. So I completely missed it. I had no idea that it happened. And I came back the next day to the porcelain company, and everybody was excited. And there I learned what had happened. From then on, things shifted and changed, and with the fall of the wall, also big problems arose, and it was not just like the wall is down now, everything is happy, and everybody's happy, and everything is easy. Because with that big event, the whole economy collapsed. Nobody wanted to buy East German products anymore because they were of low quality. The There was a huge number of people who lost their jobs, foremost the women who worked. 93% of East German women worked at that time, and they were the first ones to stand on the streets. Still had to continue with their lives from one day to the next, but everything changed, and nobody knew how capitalism worked, and nobody had an idea of it, or money, or knowledge about investing something, opening a company, or trust yourself, your entrepreneurship. This was something that was honed down for decades. And
And how was it for you? Were you afraid of
um,
capitalism?
I I was 19, 20 years old, and I thought it was the most wonderful thing that could have ever happened. I had a lot of relatives in West Germany, and we had contact, but we could never meet each other because you could not cross the border. And it was just unbelievable. And it actually still is, because I grew up with the indoctrinated knowledge that this would never change. And I would never see the world, and I would never be able to travel. And maximum would be Prague or Budapest, but the rest of the world would just not be available to me. And I then found a way to combine the new freedom with the security of the job, because I could stay at the manufacturer in Meissen, and they sent me out to different cities to talk about the product. I also had my first flight to Trieste, then even to New York. And it was really just unbelievable. And I traveled wherever I could and looked at anything possible. It was really fantastic.
So you
Yeah.
embraced the opportunity and there was no hesitance and you jumped right in.
And I think so. It was harder for my parents, who
Mhm.
were mid 40s at that time. They tried, but it was a bit late for them to experience and live the new freedom. But I was 20 and had, when you're young, you do things that you maybe don't think through so much. And
Yeah, yeah.
I
You
had
go
5 fantastic years.
you go for it.
Yeah,
So, but
right.
let me get back into the porcelain manufactory. So, to be chosen to work there and to get a
Mhm.
spot to be able to work there was not, you know,
Mhm.
necessarily easy or normal, or it's not like here
Mhm.
you apply for a job and, if there's an opening, you get it immediately, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the circumstances in East Germany were so different. Also, we did not have a telephone, and I lived in a small city in the Thuringian forest. And somehow I got the address of the Meissen company, which is 200 miles away from where I grew up, and sent in a portfolio, which was then accepted. And then I was invited to do a 3-day tryout. And then they invited me to join for a 4-year apprenticeship where you live in a boarding school. But mainly they like to have, or they liked to have people whose parents or grandparents already were in the company. So it was a generational um, development for them.
Mhm.
But I was really lucky, and Meissen at this time, and you know it because you also have a relationship to it, was almost the only company in East Germany that worked profitably and was kept in perfect shape, because it was shown to international guests and produced luxury goods that nobody in East Germany could buy.
Mhm.
But it was really like an island of quality, history, and beauty. And I was very happy to be there. And for that time, it was fantastic for me to join that company.
So, and during this 4-year apprenticeship, of course, you learned everything from like
Yeah.
bottom up,
Also,
right? Hmm.
yeah. Also the first year you spent in a Zeichenschule, in a drawing school, where you learn to draw and to do watercolors. And after that, you have 3 more years to paint on porcelain. And in the end of that, everything that you make looks like Meissen because that's the goal. You produce something that's being sold off as Meissen porcelain, and there is no artistic freedom or any possibility of inventing things, but it's just a high-end craft. And but for the time, it was good.
Were you allowed to sign your initials?
Do you have a painter's number that you put on every dish or whatever you paint? But that's it. That's not more.
Have you ever found any of your pieces on a flea market or a resale or somewhere?
Yeah, yeah. I found two pieces once in Bavaria, but that's a
Hmm.
long time ago. And I have a few on my own things that I made, which I'm happy about. Yeah.
So you were at Meissen, the wall fell. You first didn't know, then you found out, and then you got to work for the company, and like a brand ambassador, I
Hmm.
guess, as we would put it today.
Yeah.
And and then was it easy for you right away to then also embrace the possibility of yourself to become an artist, um, and go
So
down this free route?
mm, so my dream from childhood on was to become an artist. But my way, I didn't find a way to Leipzig or Dresden. It led me to Meissen. And I, I, so shortly after the wall came down, and I had a few years as an ambassador for the brand, I applied to several art academies, was not accepted because there was Meissen that I showed them. And it was not an original artwork of mine. And I had
Mm-hmm.
just lost it over the years. And then I applied for an art academy program when I was already 31, had two children, was married, and worked in the family company of my husband's family. And by then, I had, 6 years later, after the wall came down, no, 10 years later, I had amassed so much experience, also confidence, had painted a lot that my portfolio was accepted right away in Offenbach near Frankfurt. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
famous place, but it was good for me.
Mm-hmm. Very
And
good place.
there I could earn my degrees, and it was really fantastic. And I'm forever grateful to the professors who decided I could join the program.
So you started your studies when you already had two children.
Yes. And therefore, I was a special case at the academy because an artist with children starting at 31. And also the women who lived in the small city I had moved to near Frankfurt did not approve of studying while you had children. So I was never in each group, but wanted it so much that I just worked it out. And I'm very happy about this. Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing,
And there I
amazing.
started out with dealing with my past. The first paintings were about my upbringing in the east of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Then the painting behind me is actually a reminder of the Iron Curtain,
Mm-hmm.
which I then over many years transformed into a completely different work. But this is what this is behind me. And I use this profession to actually deal with my history and my future.
And you also said that I thought that was so interesting. Uh, Sorry, where was this? Yeah, the discovery of abstract art. Um,
Yeah.
so shifting from patterns that you had to, of course, with high artistic skills, apply to porcelain, and I mean it's all a very, very, very complicated and long process. Um, to then go and just, have the free world, your free will, your will, at your fingertips. Was that easy because you hadn't really been exposed to abstract paintings and art before, I would assume, as this was not really um,
Mhm.
conform to the government then?
Yeah. Also abstract art was not promoted or shown in East Germany. It was always a art form of the West Bloc, and the East Bloc focused on socialist realism, painting the leaders in the best possible way, and art always had to function there. It was not
Mhm.
for the sake of itself. And I had to learn that. It took me a while because I always put these two things, the patriotic thing with the art together. But that's a very old-fashioned idea stemming from the socialist upbringing. And the abstract art was something I was put into through my painting professor, and he said, "Take a look at this. This has no place yet in your life. There's no people and no flowers. Just look at this." And I looked at it, and it seemed so familiar to me, and it was so easy to understand, and I had no idea where it came from until I found out that, and I still don't know how I could forget about it, that I grew up in a city where Friedrich Fröbel founded the first kindergarten in the world in 1840. And
Mhm.
his mission was to educate children with abstract shapes. My mother, as a kindergarten teacher, put these shapes in front of me in form of cubes and spheres and all kinds of things. And I grew up with building with these simplified shapes, houses, all kinds of things. And this abstract thinking and seeing was in, also
Already
introduced to me
instilled.
at a very, very young age, in kindergarten age.
Interesting.
And then I completely had forgotten about it. And then now the biggest part of my world is focusing on abstract art, on simplified shapes, which always stem from nature. Also, I'm not making up things. It's all based on nature and then transformed.
Hmm.
Or recently, I use mathematical ratios to visualize my ideas. And this is where it ended up. And that's in between all these other things and an interesting development.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And when you moved to New York City with your family, you had three children.
Yes.
And I mean, moving to New York City as a family is one thing, getting the children all into school. Then you
Yeah.
started, co-founded a gallery with your husband,
Mhm.
specialized on Japanese antiques and Japanese fine art. And you really seem like someone who does it all. And then
Mhm.
you started out with your artistic career really in a city that is so highly competitive.
Mhm. Also as anyone can imagine, it was not an easy move to New York. Maybe easier for my husband since he is an American citizen, but I had to learn the language, which I spoke a little bit, but not really. Then to bring in three children into a new society in a metropolis city and having two freelance people trying to make it in New York with another gallery, which we thought people were interested in, was quite wishful thinking. And it took us a few years until we could really calm down and feel ground under our feet because there is no security net if you are a freelance person. And it was honestly challenging. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lehman Brothers crash came 1.5 years later. The art market froze. The bills came in. The children grew up. And also, as a mother, you want the best. But if you have to figure out yourself what's going on and then protect your kids from whatever, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
And but we wanted it to be like always. You have to make the decision that you made right. because you made it. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then over time, the gallery established a good reputation, and I
Very
never
good.
stopped working for my own sake. I just had my small room or whatever, and just to hold on to myself. I made lines, I made small lines, I made big stripes, I painted the Politburo of East Germany, all kinds of things to deal with this new life and make a mark to reassure my existence in this country. And this is maybe sounds like a lot, but this is really why I work because it helps me to deal with um, life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
And what would you say from this? Like, what do you think is like your richest, biggest learning from this fall of the wall and this extreme change from one societal form to another? And was it youth to help you navigate it so easily and with power or in a fearless way, or what is a learning from you that you feel really
Mm.
influenced your life?
And so what I learned, and is maybe the most profound experience, is that a system can collapse absolutely from one day to the next, even though there were signs, demonstrations, and you know it, but that something that's set in stone changes overnight and influences millions of people. That experience will never leave me, and therefore I'm always careful. And this insecurity or need for safety is a very big part of my life
Mhm.
because the change is so profound going from socialism and this restricted surveillance life where you better held back and put self-censorship onto you to absolute freedom that you have to learn to accept, even though it sounds maybe not difficult for a person who does not have this experience, but to deal with no borders and opportunities that you never had, accept them and then go for it.
Mhm.
That's a big thing. And there are not many East German people in the world because they're still traumatized by this limiting life that they live.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
to just go out and do it, not knowing what happens with your bad experiences. That's that's what I try to overcome. I want to use that life. I want to live it. I want to um, paint the paintings that I come up with the idea that I want to invent things that have never been on this planet, which is also a big goal to have. And then being honest to yourself. And once you become a professional, you can also not lie to yourself. You know whether this is good or not.
Mhm.
And then to keep on doing it over decades. Yeah, this is what I want to do. And yeah, but the uncertainty that nothing is forever, nothing is safe. I
Mhm.
think that's what I learned from the this big
Mhm.
shift.
Mhm.
Mm.
And yes, wow, what a big life. What a big life. So you're in New York City.
Mm.
You evolve as an artist. You become more and more successful. And today your work is in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles County Museum, LACMA, in the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, the Minneapolis Institute of Art, the Friedrich Froebel Museum in Blankenburg, Germany, and your work, the new one of the new works also has been uh, acquired by the Parrasch Art Museum out in Watermill. I mean, you are really one powerhouse, and and always so humble with it. And how do you energize yourself? Like, I mean, having three children and then, they're sick. I mean, of course, now they're older and they're all beautiful and fine and successful, but how do you then still take the brush and, do your stripes without,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really the
How did you
it's
motivate
what I
yourself?
yeah. Also, this is not even necessary because I need to do that for
Hmm.
my own sake.
Hmm.
I also with the it's like with writing a book. Yeah, it's a constant thought process.
Hmm.
What I do the next day, I know through the night or from the day before, and then um, maybe it works. Often you go to your studio full of energy, come out like a nothing because nothing worked. Then you have some high times where you really can achieve something, and most of the time it's not. Then you're it's a lonesome profession, which I like, but um, there is this is just my way of communicating with the world. I don't dance, sing, or write. I paint or print or draw, and this is my outlet to the world. And
Hmm.
there's nothing else I want to do. Yeah, this is the only thing that interests me. And my children are now gone; they are grown up, and I can really dedicate my time to this. And I'm also not interested in avant-garde or stuff. I want to go deep and find out what it is. Maybe
Hmm.
also a time in life where you do that
Hmm.
after serving
Others.
everybody
Yeah.
and waking up after certain hormonal changes where the energy goes from your middle of the body to your head and you see things clearer and become more brave, I think.
Hmm.
Now it's with all the works I did all these years, I build it new. I maybe another door opens, maybe another idea comes, but also what I do takes a lot of time, and but it's really what I want to do.
To establish yourself, not only as an artist in New York City, but as a female artist, as a woman artist in New York City, um, do you feel that you have made particular experiences because you're a woman?
Um, so I saw myself always not as a woman or a man, but as a human being that makes works of art or makes a line or whatever. And and I still see myself like this. But in this society, in this time, um, it's not easy to be a woman in the art world. It gets better. The market share is very small. Having a work in a museum is the most exciting thing and shows there is another one who managed to have a work in a public collection, which I think is great. Um, the prices that are paid for women artists, I think the biggest one was 13 million lately for I forgot Jane Seville or the um, Marlene Dumas. This is a lot, but in comparison to male art, it's not much. And the women art world is always only looked at as the women art world. They are not compared with the male art world. So it's two separate things.
Two separate things.
And yeah, and so you can cry over this and can be
Hmm.
very sad about it, or you can try further. And it's also not easy for female artists to become visible or get shown or acquired. But the women in the arts appear as a group maybe for only the last 50 years.
Hmm.
There have been some examples in the past, like the Klimt, or Kate Kollwitz, but there is no history.
Hmm.
And so you can also not put relationships of women into what happened in the past. And this overcross between men and women does not take place so much. And it's, so I think you can only just continue working and become visible, but it's
Hmm.
certainly not easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there are also, I must say, there are galleries who show a lot of women, and the focus is shifting.
Yeah,
I'm
it is, but
hopeful.
it will take a time. It will take its time, and it will take also artists like yourself to push through and pave the way for the generation that's coming after.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think every piece that enters the museum is obviously valid to be kept for the future,
Hmm.
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a very good thing. So, just living in New York City, how do you calm yourself down?
Um, also you need a good place to pull out of the energy and to sleep well. Without that, you can't survive the city. And I think also like everybody who lives here for a long time, you find your places. It's just necessary. And I go to my studio, close the door, and that's my safe space.
That's your safe space.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
do you miss at all the countryside and the forest the little village in the forest that you grew up in, or is this so remote? Um, Also because it's, such different worlds that you've lived in. Um,
Yeah, I totally miss it. And my heart is still in Thuringia.
mhm,
But so much has happened that I cannot see myself going back there because I couldn't share what interests me. And I
mhm.
go there every year and feel the roots on my feet when I walk around, and I feel like I can do anything that I want. But it's not the life I chose. And New York is for me the most effective, best place to be. It's also not East or West Germany, which is still a big problem after 36 years. And I'm here on neutral ground with 8 million other people who have stories. And it's a good place to observe and to calm down and to focus. Mhm.
Why do you think after 36 years it still is this division between East and West Germany?
Yeah. So
It's a
I
question that
spent,
I always think
yeah.
about. Yeah.
Mm. So what I think about it is I spent 19 years in the East and 12 years near Frankfurt. So I experienced both sides. Then 19 years in New York. And I think the East German people have never been taken seriously. They have this huge advantage of having experienced the fall of the whole complete system and what comes with it. But uh, it's not being heard. And there's a lot of resentment towards the people in the West who um, don't pay much respect to the people in the East.
Mm.
And the I think it's if the people would talk more, it would be much easier. But there's so many prejudices from both sides. And I'm always in the middle that they don't come together.
Hmm.
It's also manifested after so many years, and people are critical and not happy on both sides, and they just should meet more often. Yeah, I just gave a
Hmm.
talk in Cologne about my upbringing, and that seemed like a story from a different planet,
Hmm.
even though I carry it with me. But there is just not an interest between the two sides to come together.
But
It's
you
very
need
difficult.
to, but you need to continue. You need to continue
Mm.
to be vocal about it and to speak about it and to educate people about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, that comes with your, uh, being
history.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always try, and I give a lot of talks about it.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a pity and very hard to believe that after 36 years, it was not possible to come together. And one should also not forget there are only 12 million people in the East. It's a very small group. It's a bit more than in Manhattan or in New York, I mean. Yeah. And those two countries don't come together with the
Mm.
same history, the same language, same culture,
Mm.
and all the
Yeah.
money that has been put in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just keep on talking about it and hope maybe it helps. But
Yes. Please do so.
yeah. Mm.
Okay, so that was a brief insight into a really fascinating biography and a witness to something that again, had personal inclinations and really had such an impact on the world. So
Mm.
thank you for sharing your insights and yeah, for being here on Shift Happens.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that I am very grateful to you that you invited me to speak here and that you bring us together because we're all roaming around in New York, in Switzerland, in Berlin, and have our ideas and are somehow lost because we don't meet. But for years now, you bring women together who share their experiences, who get encouraged, feel the support, and feel like, yes, I'm not alone and I can do something. It's a real thing. And this is because you do these wonderful podcasts. Thank you,
Thank
Claudia.
you. Thank you, Cornelia. Oh. Okay. Be well. Enjoy the rest
You
of your
too,
summer.
Claudia.
Okay.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Same to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.